he's actively growing his 401k. He was going to have about a $40,000 tax bill, which doesn't matter how much money you make. Nobody wants to fork over $40,000. So I'll just speak on, my actual client that had a really great year in the stock market. But he also had a business that I believe the numbers, if I recall the numbers, he had over $20,000 in losses because he had like a farm, and he had to clear the land on the farm, and it's, I guess, very expensive to clear land. But he also had a $50,000 or $60,000 growth in the market that year. So his tax, and plus he was already a high six-figure earner, a little under 300,000 W-2 guy. So he was already, taxed through the roof on his W-2. Now, when you're talking about the growth of his portfolio, and this guy was, his 401k is sitting over $1 million. So he's actively growing his 401k. He was going to have about a $40,000 tax bill, which doesn't matter how much money you make. Nobody wants to fork over $40,000. Doesn't make any sense, because like when you pay your taxes, it just takes away from your profit, right? But it's the right thing to do, pay your taxes. So the idea was his business losses offset his market gains. And so we made sure that we took all the losses, because he paid for the people, he paid for the machines, he paid for this, he paid for that, all of this out of his, it came from the business. I mean, we structured it where it's an S corp. The profit or loss reports on him. He's the president, the owner of the company. And so the actual S corp doesn't pay any taxes, but the profit or loss is reported on his tax return. And the loss offset his gains. And so instead of having a crazy tax bill, we think he had like a $8,000 or $9,000 tax bill, which he could stomach. I mean, as opposed to a 5-figure tax bill. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Now this is critical here, because I want people to catch this. And so you're an expert, so you catch it right away. But what I want people to catch is, even though the stock portfolio gains were on his person, the business losses still offset his personal tax obligation on his stock gains, because because that's a pass-through entity.
Correct.
And so that is critical, because there's structures that you can use for different strategies and different reasons. Yeah. And I'm sure that might help somebody make a better decision on what they want to do moving forward.
Right.
As far as their obligations. Now, I take it can operate that way as far as on any pass-through entity, such as like a LLC.
Right.